What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 things that quarterbacks must do to be able to play at the next level. So these are 3 things that all need to translate, fellas, from the high school level, from the youth level, to get you to that college level, okay? So I hope this video gives you guys some value and it teaches you a few new things about the quarterback position, throwing mechanics, buying time in the pocket, and all the above. Also, fellas, if you're a quarterback and you need to get better at reading coverages, you don't understand how to break down a defense, what to look for, how to identify a specific coverage, check out that very first link in the description where you can get access to over 400 plus videos on how to read defense. What we do is we have all the videos broken down. As you can see, this is our Cover 2 playlist. They're about 3-minute videos each, so there's over 400 videos on there. It's like Netflix for quarterbacks, right? So you get access to that. You'd be able to send me your own film for a breakdown. So check out that very first link in the description, fellas, to check this out. We break down everything for every single specific coverage that you can think of, over 400 videos. Hope you guys could check that out. Let's get started. So first thing I want to talk about is this clip here from Trevor Lawrence. We're going to be talking about being ready to throw at any time, okay? So obviously everybody talks about the speed of the game, right? Everybody talks about when you get to that next level, especially like college, the NFL. I didn't play in the league, obviously, so I don't know that speed change, but I did play in college, right? And there's, no matter what level of college it is, there is a change of speed. There is a change, like everybody on that field is a lot faster than everybody else, right? Like in the high school stage, you know what I mean? You're getting all the best guys from all the high school teams. There's a million high schools all playing at one school, so everybody's going to be fast. Everybody's going to be big. So as a quarterback, what that means to me is I can't have any wasted motion back here. So you see when Lawrence, he's evading the rush, right? He did such a great job of this as well at Clemson. But when he's evading the rush and he's stepping up, I want you to look at his base. That back leg has weight on it, and he is constantly loaded, relaxed with that ball at the upper half, ready to make this throw. He doesn't need to load this ball up to his ear. He's not standing almost as tall as a pencil in the pocket to where he has to sit back down on his back leg. He is preloaded in the pocket, right? When you could get to this position consistently, you will have a quick release, right? So everybody loves to talk about like, oh, like anytime somebody breaks down Kyler Murray's throw and they're all like, oh, he throws it like a baseball. The way he drops the ball low like that, yeah, in a perfect world, you'd want him to hold the ball up higher, right? But why fix what isn't broken? But you notice how fast he's able to get the ball out of his hands. It almost looks like he has one of the quickest releases in the game. And that's because where he throws, there's no load. He gets the ball out of his hands. He's preloaded on that back leg because especially as a shorter guy, you can't have any wasted motion back there as it is. It's all about how fast can you transfer your weight? How much can you get your hips involved? That's what ties into arm speed. It's not about how fast you bring your arm back manually. It's all about that weight transfer, getting those hips through so you could have that quick release, right? So you see how Lawrence just shows a great example of how when you got weight on that back leg and your back leg is bent, you're absorbing that weight, that back leg is under your frame. I can't tell you how many quarterbacks have that back leg way outside of here, and they have so much weight on their front foot that they end up falling way out of balance. Their front leg locks out. They swing their back leg behind. You got to make sure that you are at this, but this is a textbook position right here, because when you guys are able to, you see how when he transfers through, it's not like he's pushing off of his back foot. He's driving off of his back leg. So he's shifting his weight to the front leg. And when you can shift your weight to the front leg, A, that stride will be quick, but B, that front hip will start to come through. And you see how his front hip's able to come through. When you guys watch boxers throw straights, that's exactly what their hips look like, because it's all hip rotation, it's all weight transfer. And you see how he takes that little Aaron Rodgers pop step with the front foot to be able to get that weight to transfer through. That's the spot that we want to get to. You want to be constantly loaded on your back leg, no matter what movement you have to do in the pocket, and then I'm able to transfer my weight on a dime at any time because the windows at that next level are so freaking small. Everything gets smaller, everybody's faster, so you need to get the ball out of your hands with the least amount of wasted motion as possible so you don't A, throw a pick, B, get your guy killed, and just don't look prepared to play at that next level. Let's watch the thing again full speed. So the first tip for you guys that you must do to be able to play at that next level is be ready to get this ball out of your hands at all times. Constantly be loaded in the pocket and ready to transfer your weight to get this ball through. Now, the second tip I want to talk about that you have to do to be able to play the next level is extend the play. Now, I'm not saying, because again, Zach Wilson, I mean, he's a pretty athletic dude, obviously, but he's not the typical, like, he's not like a Lamar Jackson dual threat type guy, or, you know, whatever dual threat you want to compare him to, like Mike Vick. He's not that guy, and I'm not saying you have to be that guy, but to be able to play in the offenses that are thriving today, you know, this air raid system, right, spread, RPO, all that stuff, you got to be somewhat mobile as a quarterback, and you got to be able to buy time, right? So when you're back there and the play breaks down, like especially on film, right? Don't even get me, if you're a high school guy and you're trying to get recruited, like this year you're playing varsity ball, and college coaches aren't going to want to see the guy who can just take a 3-step drop and throw a slant, or a guy who can just catch, throw a slant, take a 3-step drop, throw a bang 8 post. They're going to want to see guys who could do something that they don't have in their program, right? They're going to want to see guys who can extend the play, make these off-platform throws, get out of the pocket, do stuff that we don't expect you to do, right? And I'm going to be real with you. Any quarterback take a 3-step drop and throw, right? That's not a problem, right? Your mechanics, yes, are very important. You got to be able to throw the ball, and we're going to get into that later. But being able to extend the play and operate when things break down is what separate a lot of guys, but a lot of great quarterbacks from average quarterbacks. Everybody in t-shirt and shorts, when you get out there and you're going routes versus air, everybody can look real good, right? But what happens when the play breaks down? What happens when you have to extend the play? And you see Wilson does a great job of displaying that. He did this a lot at BYU, and now we're going to talk about the mechanics of throwing on the run. When you throw on the run, fellas, and you guys are getting out of the pocket, you got to make sure that you have a clean stroke to be able to get velocity downfield. A lot of quarterbacks' games just completely go to the ground. They go trash when they get out of the pocket, because what they end up doing is their sequence is off. So you see how when Wilson goes to throw, what a lot of quarterbacks will do is they won't step with their throwing side leg. They'll start to get their shoulders to rotate back off of their left foot. They'll go left foot, rotate their shoulders, then they hit the right foot just like this. But when they hit the right foot, their front shoulder's already coming open. Their arms are already at that 90-degree angle, and they end up pushing the ball because there's no torque there. When you guys can rotate your shoulders and get to this spot right here, this like opposite equal spot where everybody loves to say opposite L, you don't have to get to a perfect L, just somewhere in that range. But when you could get to this spot right here, as you're stepping with your throwing side foot, that's going to give you a lot of torque. Because when you step with your throwing side foot and you angle your toes at the target, as you see like Wilson does, that loads your hips. And when you have your hips loaded, especially when you combine that with energy because you're on the run, and then when you combine that with having your shoulders rotated, that's a lot of torque, that's a lot of snap to the throw, because all you really got to do is kick this left leg through. And you see there's that, all that right there, that's so much power being generated when you could stay square, your front arm stays tight, and you're kicking that left leg through to get the ball through. That's the spot that we want to be at. We want to be at that snappy spot where everything's kicking through and we're getting a ton of velocity downfield. So again, second tip that you got to be able to do to play at that next level is you got to be able to extend the play and be somewhat mobile. I'm not saying you got to get out and run past guys. I'm saying you got to be able to buy time, make off-platform throws, make throws on the run, and do what coaches aren't just expecting of you. Do what they're not asking of you. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Wilson going with this fake, and then obviously getting out of the pocket and making this throw downfield. That's a big-time ball, big-time way to extend the play. All right, guys, if you haven't heard, we are coming to Las Vegas on September 11th and September 12th for a quarterback and wide receiver clinic. So our youth camp, or youth clinic, I should say, it's really only 20 spots, so it's not necessarily a camp. It's a smaller clinic, but I want to make sure you guys get the best work possible. Our youth clinic is September 11th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., and then our high school clinic is September 12th from 9 to 12 as well. So I hope you guys could check that out. Check out that second link in the description below if you guys are in the Las Vegas area or thereabouts close to it. Be really good work. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys, being able to come out there, get better. We have a Division I speed coach coming out there, so you guys are going to get some great work, and it's a 3-hour clinic. So I hope you guys could check that out. Second link in the description below. Let's get back to this video. So now, last thing we're going to be taking a look at here is Derek Carr. We're going to talk about that front side mechanics, okay? So this is something that's getting more and more popular as time goes by, but we're mainly talking about this right here, this release point where that arm gets pulled back to that chest for that consistent release point right here, okay? So now, in the old days, like not even necessarily old days, like probably like 6 or even 7 years ago, you would see quarterbacks with this elbow, they'd be swinging it down, this front shoulder, they'd be swinging it way around. But when you look at a guy, because again, like there's that stigma that every college, recruiting guys, everybody talks about, is like you got to pass the eye test, right? So what's the eye test, right? A lot of times the eye test is about, is this guy 6 foot plus? Does he weigh, to 185 to 200 pounds? Like it's for quarterbacks, right? So you got to pass the eye test somewhat, but when you throw the ball, you also, I call this the eye test. You got to look like you know what you're doing. You got to look like you have a smooth mechanics. You got to look like you're a polished quarterback. And what a lot of quarterbacks don't do is they do not have a polished front arm. So let's talk about the front arm, right? So you see when Derek Carr goes back, a lot of guys can get to this spot. Everybody can get to this spot right here, but what makes or breaks guys is what brings the ball through, what brings the ball up to that 90-degree angle right there. And from Derek Carr, it's his front hip being able to open up. You see how much rotation he's able to have. That back hip is coming through before the ball. That front arm is not playing a factor. Now, in the old days, what a lot of quarterbacks do is they would get to here, then they'd take this elbow and swing it way around, or they'd swing their elbow down. I had the problem too, because that was something that I was coached to do. They said that will give you power, and it does give you power, but you're not going to have torque, and you're not going to be consistent. Those are the two things that we're looking for. So now you see when Carr's able to rotate through, like I said, his hips are going through, but when you guys keep that front hand nice and tight to your frame and your hips are rotating through, that's that like snap. It almost looks like you're cracking a whip, like you're trying to whip somebody. That's what it comes from. It comes from that front arm. Now, not to mention this front arm and this front shoulder also tie into accuracy. So let me explain. So and again, this is one of those things. You got to look like a quarterback. You got to look like the guy. On film, they got to be looking for these specific things if they're a good quarterback coach, right? So now your body is split down a midline, right? You got your spine. So whatever your front side does, your right side, your throwing side is going to do pretty similar thing, right? So if you were to swing your elbow down, this is the problem with a lot of guys who used to swing their elbow, their release gets pushed up high. And they have this real high release. Usually they like to lean out of there with their head. And a lot of the times it has to do with lack of hip rotation. But if you guys like to swing that front elbow down, don't do it. That doesn't make you look polished. As the game is constantly evolving, you got to make sure that you have a clean front side so that release point is clean. Then a lot of guys, like I said, they like to swing the elbow this way towards the side and rotate their front shoulder all the way around. So what do you think is going to happen if your front shoulder goes this way? Your arm's going to go this way. Your arm's going to fly outside your frame, then you're going to have this sidearm. It's not that manual arm angle that everybody loves to talk about. It's a bad sidearm to where your wrist is almost underneath the ball. So that front hand staying tight to your frame, you being able to stay square, helps with torque, helps with consistency, and it helps you get a more accurate release point. Let's watch the thing again. So that's the third tip. You got to make sure that you pass the quote-unquote eye test for a quarterback. You got to look like a quarterback. You got to throw this thing like a quarterback, not like a kicker who's swinging this front arm way out of there. Let's watch it again, full speed one more time. Great job by Carr keeping his arm tight, and you obviously see what kind of ball he gets. A very accurate ball, right on the money. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Always appreciate the feedback. Always appreciate the things you guys have to say. It helps me come up with new ideas for videos, so I 100% appreciate it. And again, fellas, if you're a quarterback and you got to get better at reading coverages, understanding defenses, want over 400 videos on that, check out that very first link in the description below to get access. And also, if you're in the Las Vegas area and you want to come out to our quarterback and wide receiver youth and high school clinic, check out that second link in the description to sign up, get all the info. Hope you guys can check those both out below. I'll see you guys next time.